All right, team, so let's go ahead, open your Google Classroom, and let's get started with a quick review of our norms. AJ, do you mind taking us through the norms?
Okay, our norms. Be present, both physically and mentally, and stay engaged. Speak your truth. Pay attention to patterns of participation. Expect and accept non-closure. Experience discomfort. Respect contextual confidentiality. Go to the source, and assume best intentions.
So as you know, we set a clear target to improve our college readiness benchmarks by 4% this year on all indicators. PSAT is coming up in the next 3 months, and our NWA window is about to close. We should be able to make an action plan to support our sophomores and prepare them for the PSAT.
One of the processes is to review commitments and the implementation of our curriculum alignment guides.
Jen, can you please remind us of our commitments from last meeting?
Of course, last week we determined that Aaron and Travis were going to identify any barriers to NWEA testing so we could start talking about student data. Earl was going to check in with teachers to make sure XYZ Universal Screener would be completed by the end of September. Angela and Lauren were going to walk all ELA and math classrooms for our CAG implementation update.
Okay, thank you so much, Jen. So just keep capturing as we go. Aaron, Travis, what access information do you have to share?
In ELA, we're about 2/3 complete. We've had some students absent, and Miss Jones has been out sick. Her students were testing, but the sub has struggled a bit and mentioned students getting finished pretty early.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Jen, can you make a note to come back to assessment support? We should work with our testing coordinator and potentially reach out to RD. Travis, what about you?
9th and 10th graders are completely finished testing, but there are a few students who have some makeups to do, and 11th grade will be complete next week.
Awesome. That's really good news, Travis. Thank you. Earl, what's the update on the XYZ screener?
All teachers have XYZ screener entered as an assignment in gradebook. There are about 4 teachers who need another refresher. We will be ready for teachers to start survey on Monday, and we will be completed within 2 weeks, and I'll send a weekly update to the team.
Okay, that's good to hear. How's that going to be shared out with the team?
Through a Google Doc.
Okay, thanks. We'll share our updates as we move into implementation. Lauren and I walked all the ELA and math classes. We didn't get to Mr. St. Patrick or Miss Kapinski because of that fire drill. We'll get back there this coming week. Lauren, go ahead with what we saw.
Our Math 1 teachers are highly aligned and in pace, and there are some differences in instructional pace, but overall it's looking really good. We also know that they were involved with creating those math CAGs with Nick last year, so I believe their involvement in that process is really paying off.
Yeah, we discussed Unit 2 in last week's CoLab meeting. I think we'll revisit the framework to review intentional practices so we're more aligned in instructional delivery.
However, there seems to be some misalignment with ELA 9. I know Miss Jones has been out, Erin, right? Can you help us with understanding any other reason for the misalignment coming out of last week's collaboration? What do you think is going on?
Yes, in part Miss Jones was out, but Miss Klinger was helping the sub with planning. Miss Klinger was involved in the textbook pilot, so she's feeling very comfortable with the materials, where Miss Jones wasn't and is struggling with the change.
Okay, so how can we support Miss Jones if we believe the root's discomfort with the textbook and CAG? Does that sound right?
Well, why don't I connect with SLS and have one of the ELA ELD TOSAs work with the English department next Wednesday? Does that work with everyone?
Okay, team, does that sound okay? Thumbs up if that works. All right, Jen, please make sure to record that in our commitments.
Okay, I can see all of you opened and reviewed the data I placed in the Google Classroom last week. Thanks for doing that. Let's get back in there and review that data together. Is anybody seeing anything you want to bring up? We're about to hit that PSAT window. So what can we do to help our students?
Yes, and the attendance of some of the students could be impacting the pacing in ELA. Ms. Jones teaches our ELD sections, and there is a high absenteeism rate among our Hispanic students. We can look at that at our next collaboration meeting. I think we need to have our teachers or counselors reach out to families, maybe a home visit?
We've actually conducted 14 home visits so far, and based on the above, I see roughly 4 to 5 more we should target. We will schedule these over the next 2 weeks and report back on how they went.
All right, that's great. Can we get that in the commitments as well?
Also, what about an information night for families about PSAT attendance and college? Our first one isn't exactly scheduled until October, so this could allow us to connect with the families a little sooner. Let's get that calendared so we can come back to it.
Okay, so what student level data shows that students need Tier 1 support? Are there any students who are not being successful that we need to target?
Proceeds
Yes,
to discuss
I'm a little
students
concerned
by
about
name,
Eli.
by
I
need.
know he's a naturally gifted student, but I see he's had 2 suspensions and he's missed 18 days of school. Is there anyone else he's connected with? I really think he needs a consistent check-in and check-out for the next couple of weeks. I have him in my 4th period, and I've already established a relationship with his mom.
You know, I know him from when I was a teacher as well. I'll reach out to him too.
Eli might be another good candidate for a home visit. I'll make sure we add him to the list and report back out on our meeting. Also keep in mind that he has an SST coming up next week to take a closer look at his individual unique needs.
I'll add 2 commitments.
Currently, there are no new referrals for supports. Let's focus on our commitments before we leave.
At this point, the building team has discussed instruction, analyzed data, and generated actionable next steps. The meeting has come full circle. It started with a review of the commitments and now finishes with commitments to one another before the next meeting. This, over time, will become the system to support all of our students.
I've recorded the following commitments based on today's meeting. Lauren will reach out to SLS and schedule time with an ELA ELD TOSA during Wednesday's late start to get ELA alignment on track. Angela and Lauren were going to walk all ELA and math classrooms for our CAG implementation update. Get back to the 2 teachers you missed from the fire drill. Earl will provide a weekly update on XYZ screener progress and follow up on the results of our scheduled home visits, the report on Eli's SST. AJ work to calendar and coordinate parent night. Travis check in, check out with Eli every day. Report at next building team meeting.
Okay, so before we close, does everyone understand the commitments? All right. Any questions? Do we feel like we've made progress toward our goal of prepping for sophomore PSAT? Okay, let's do an evaluation of our team meeting. Thumbs up, thumbs down for each of these. Did we follow our expectations in the meeting today? Okay. Did we focus on our team's purpose in the meeting? Did we do a good job of completing the tasks we agreed to at the previous meetings? You know, I want to briefly mention here one of the things we need to make sure is that we are committing to providing the data prior to the meeting so that we can spend our time in discussion rather than trying to understand the data. In general, are the completed tasks having the desired effects on student outcomes? Thumbs up or thumbs down? And lastly, what can we do to improve things? I'd love to hear some feedback there.
This simulated building team is an example of what we are working towards. Through the cycle of continuous learning and improvement, we are going to see our building teams following a similar process. This work takes time, but it is the right work for kids.
Okay, so let's close on a positive note. Let's talk about some of the things that we're doing. Eli, he's going to be receiving a lot of daily support, and there's going to be a lot of effort to make sure that he's successful through home visits, through the SST process, and hopefully that's going to shed some light on additional ideas to consider to support him.